range for the army. This is Bootle Beach. As you can see, the tide is on low tide. When I fish here, tide goes out a long way. You just got to be aware when the tide comes in. You've got to be aware of tide times and you're alright. But this is where I fish. So when I was fishing, I didn't know this boulder was here. But I wasn't fishing here, I was fishing down there. That's better. I was fishing somewhere down there. Well, I was fishing about here. So these are the rocks I mentioned in another video, if anybody's watched it. Mentioned these boulders with barnacles on. So if you're in a high wind, lots of weed, tide, then your line can get dragged. Little fish here. See him darting about. If you're in a high wind, lots of weed, my line got dragged down over them boulders, and halfway through my fishing session, my line snapped because it obviously got worn through, and had to change reels. Now, another good thing about this beach is there's lots of lugworm. They're black lugworm. And they're all over. I don't think the fish come in there to feed us. I don't know what black lugworm do. I presume they just go underground and they stay underground. They're filter feeders, I presume. So I don't think the fish are coming on there for black lug. Unless the odd black lug comes up and thinks, I'm going to commit harry-carry, looking for weights, looking for line. So I don't know if they think I'm going to commit harry-carry, come up and the fish come in and eat them. I wouldn't have thought so. You might get the odd stupid one. But maybe they do. But when I fished here last year, I went over and bought a bait pump, and I'm going to bring the bait pump this year. But I moved the bait pump in the garage, and didn't pack it when I come on holiday, so weren't able to dig any of these lug. But if you was to come here on holiday, I mean, look at all these casts. Casts everywhere. Seagull, the birds like them, but they're all over. So my plan was, if the weather had been better, been very blowy, blowing from off the sea, very weedy. I've never got down there at low tide anyhow. As you can see, I'm not at the sea yet. There's my van. and we're back at the sea. Now, last year I fished here, and this low tide just like this, near the tide mark over there, and fished this at low tide coming back. And this beach is okay because it's nice and flat, and there's not too much water that can get behind you. These rock pools here fill up, and then obviously they sprout out on all the low areas. So as long as you fish in here, but don't take my word for it, I'm no professional, but for me, when I fish there, you just make sure you're coming back. You don't fish right on top of the water. You're always looking behind yourself to check it out. And this wet area here will fill up. This gully will fill up. The water comes down, it'll fill this gully up, and then it'll leach out of there. And where you can see on the beach, where it's wet now, that will fill up possibly behind you. I am actually lower than that now, but that's still wet and this isn't. So that will fill up behind you. You've got boots on, I've got boots on. Last time I fished here, I walked back perfectly alright. Didn't get caught out at all. But there, you've got to know what the tides are. You don't come out here unless you know what the tides are. This is a rock pool. I don't think anybody would reach this casting, to be honest. So, if you fish it at low tide, keep an eye on the tide, keep an eye on the rock pools and the gullies. There's no gullies here that I can see on this section of the beach. That section of the beach might be different, but this is where I fish. And as the tide comes in, I walk back in that direction for sure. So anyhow, I fished this on Monday. It was blowing the hoolie, and apart from breaking my line, there was nothing. Didn't catch a thing. I went to Silcroft the next day in the afternoon, and I caught a small schoolie bass. Well, not small, about 14 inch. So that made up for it. Look at all that there, all them rocks with barnacles and stuff. Totally flat beach here, look, and we've got a pool there, 5 metres by 10. It's quite weird really, because when this tide comes in on this flat beach, once it gets down there, you're probably fishing in about 1.5 metres, 2 metres of water. They're quite deep. So anyhow, this is Bootle Beach. I've never caught anything on Bootle, and then I've only been twice. Might fish today yet, I don't know. Seems very shallow where the water is. It's firm underfoot. Right, I'm in the water. And there's my van. There's the water, nice and clear. I am now I can't go any deeper than that, because if I do, I'll go up the top of my boots. I don't think there's no point fishing, to be honest. I think it'll be so low water out there, so shallow depth. I've got a wind in my face, blowing off the sea. I think that'll impair my distance, and don't think I'll get out far enough to where the fish is. Now come 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock this afternoon, wind's going to be blowing over the fells. And blowing out to sea, so I think the waves are going from 1 metre high, which they aren't really 1 metre high now. They're going from 1 metre high to about half a metre, so it's going to be pretty calm this afternoon. Ideal fishing. Still a bit of movement in the water. That'd be good to go fishing, but I'm going home. The ideal place I could go fishing today would be at Whitehaven. Fish off a pair, but I don't know about parking. I don't know what it'll be, what the pattern. Last time I was in Whitehaven, it was quite, I couldn't find anywhere to park. So anyhow, this is Bootle Beach. It's beautiful. Let's go have a look over at the rock pool. Look at that, it's a sea urchin. Sit on the beach, I think he's upside down. Let's try and turn him over. Dig him a hole, shall we? Dig him a hole. That'll fill up with water. There. That'll buy you some time, boy. Thought it was a crab. There's obviously sea life on this beach, plenty of worms. Perhaps the worms do come up. I don't know. I love seagulls. And a lot of people around on the seaside had a lot of negativity towards seagulls. I don't understand why. I think they're beautiful birds. Make a fantastic noise. Right, so we've got here, isn't that weird? It's like a coral, doesn't it? Certainly, perhaps stuff pops out of that. But they look like barnacles, but it doesn't look like barnacles to me. It's just a coral. Look, there it all is in the water. God knows. Could be mussel bed, I suppose. Baby mussels, I don't know. First time I've seen it. Birds over there feeding. Well, if I don't fish here today, which it's not looking like, I shall go fishing either in the River Humber, Backham, or I shall go up the, probably might go to Hornsey, fish there. Got a multiplier rod, got the leader icon rod, and I want to use that. I haven't actually fished with it yet, I've cast with it. Beautiful rod. But I don't want to fish that rod in the river. There's lots of rocks at the river, I'll show you. And you only fish a couple of hours either way of high tide. And as you're reeling in, you got to reel like crazy to get your weight and tackle up, so you miss the rocks. Otherwise, line rubs on the rocks, your line breaks, or you get snagged. Walk through this shallow bit so I don't disturb any wildlife that's in this deep pool. Might be razor clams on there as well. Oh, definitely crabs. And another one. And fish have been in. They've been slaying all the crabs. Definitely razor clams in there, because there's razor clams all in here. This so far, I don't think there's anybody that could cast out and reach this. I think I definitely fish in the right place. Kelp. Nothing in there. The water's running back off this beach here, because this is higher. Running back into here. See that coming down these gullies. That's why this is still wet. I presume it's running down. And then by the time it's nearly dry, I expect the tide will be coming in again. Again, if you fish it on low tide, you have to be ever so careful. But in my opinion, and don't take my opinion, because I'm just a Norfolk lad, and I've fished this literally cast out, tide starts coming into your tripod, you pick your box up, you bring your box back to where it's dry, and I mean you bring it back 50 yards, go get your tripod, bring it back, leave your bait out there, tide comes in, you're then fishing in deeper water, fish might come out. If you've had no bites and you've pulled in before and you know there's no crabs at that moment, move your box again. It's like free movements, 50 yards, and then bring your tripod, then check your bait, and then cast that again, and then by the time you get to the beach, your bait's out quite a long way, you've come back in plenty of time. Only problem is when you get back to the beach, you need to have a sandwich. Have a sandwich, a cup of tea, and let the water go over those boulders that I showed you in the first place, so that they get covered by water. And after you had some scram, start fishing again, so that if you catch a fish, you can pull it over those boulders without damaging your line, getting snagged up, losing your gear. And this is Bootle, that's it. That's where I was. It's low tide now. It's probably 200 yards to the sea, maybe 230. Probably got 70, 80 yards to them boulders. So from the beach shore, when it's up at high tide, you're probably about 240 metres, 220 metres to them that first boulders. I don't think anyone's going to reach that. Wind's totally died. Probably the best day for fishing. And I've got to go on. Never mind. Pick your holdie. Can't pick the weather. To make the best of it. It's been a nice time. Certainly not been cold. Got this top on now and I'm hot. Back to the boulders. I'm gonna have to walk through this. Do it slowly. Don't stand any stones because they're slippery. Got to go out of a tit. we do. This is Whitehaven Pier. Fished that pair over there, what I call the safe pair, or the small pair. I haven't fished this pair, which I'll fish next time I'm here. Now we've found out where to park, that you've got to pay for. Whitehaven Pier at the top. That's where I just was down there. This is the top. You can fish off this if you ain't scared of heights. Fish at the end. There's a little beach down there. Looks a bit rocky. And you've got a lot of weed. Cover that wind up. A lot of wind. Let's see his boat.
Pizza time.